It's 11:39 a.m. on December 5th, 2020. Now, I need to do something just as after I've done the time stamping. I have to confirm to make sure. All right. I'm looking right now at the University of Chicago library regarding its publications, and I've noticed that its archive, its digitally accessible online archive of the Chicago Maroon, goes until the last issue that they currently have online is December 5th of 1986. That would be 34 years ago today. And the first top page headline: UFC purchases Nazi collection of former prof. You know, I'm going to tell you a story. When I was going to high school, I lived on Quantico Marine Base. It's right off the Potomac. Right outside of the base, if you go right outside the front gate, right on the left hand side, is a replica of the statue of Iwo Jima that is in downtown Washington, D.C. It's a national monument. It's very, very famous about the flag raising of the American flag on Iwo Jima during the Battle of Iwo Jima. Well, they have a replica, not the same size, a little smaller, right outside, right on the left hand side of Quantico Marine Base, right as you leave. But if you don't go left, if you go right, you go down the road a little bit. You run into a place that sells antiques. I think it was called the Antique Station. Yeah, it was not the only one. There was more than one antique station. But the one right outside of Quantico Marine Base had a very large collection of antique uniforms. When I would go there with my mother, she had one interest. There was this book they had. It was a catalog. It was every uniform and every change and derivation to the uniforms of the German military during a certain period of time. And it would be very interesting to compare what was in that catalog with what was literally considered to be available for sale as an antique. 1986 was also the year where that major tax act was passed, wasn't it? Probably started going into effect sometime after December 5th of 1986. If you had purchased a Nazi collection, maybe of antique uniforms, in this time frame, would you have had to report it on your tax statements in time for the next year? Let me ask you, if you acquired assets connected to a college freshman that had a column in the Chicago Maroon less than 10 years later, could you get away with not reporting that on your tax statements until the statute of limitations had passed? And because there's no accessible record anymore, because they haven't been able to catch up with it. They just haven't had the time and the resources to make it a digitally accessible archive. And for the last 5 years, they've done everything they can to avoid actually giving the person who would have a need to request access to these tax records, even access to the primary source documents, to prove she even did it. What I'm left with today is UFC purchases Nazi collection of former prof. I'm going to do an investigation. Let me zoom in here. Are you going to tell me who that former professor was? What do I have instead of my own name today? Ignaz Gelb, professor of the Oriental Institute. Ignaz, you mean like some derivation of Ignatius? Wow. Were you pleased with your aborted fetus? Was it exactly what you had hoped for? Michael's off the hook. Michael and his entire fucking family are off the hook. You are not. I am so sorry that your digital archive did not catch up to me. See, if we got into tomorrow, this might be another matter, but we didn't, did we?